Brownwood, our third and final town square, is soon to be a reality and a gathering place for residents. In this month's V-Mail, environmental consultant Jennifer Rosinski shows us what had to take place at Brownwood before the first shovelful of dirt was even turned. Our construction crew prepares the area with 50 miles of piping and underground work. And as construction begins at Paddock Square, project manager Ted Graham shows what we can expect to see in the months ahead. All that and more coming up, so put on that hard hat. It's time for the Building of Brownwood. Today we're here on the southeast corner of the Brownwood construction site, and we're about to be joined by a very special guest. She's Jennifer Rosinski of Breedlove Dennis and Associates. And Jennifer, we're really glad you're here. You're an environmental consultant, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, Gary.
Well, first of all, we want to ask you, what kind of things does an environmental consultant do?
All right. As an environmental consultant, we would come out to a property like the Villages when we would consider it a raw piece of land, and we would look for things that we consider environmentally sensitive. So we would actually be out here several years before you guys break ground and go ahead and obtain permits through all the state and federal agencies.
Now, one thing we've seen in this project is that many of the people working on this project have been with the Villages for years.
Right.
So I have to ask you, is this your first project, or what else have you done?
This was our first big project with the Villages. We started here in 2005. We looked at an area of the Villages called Districts 9 and 10, of which Brownwood was part. That was almost 5,000 acres. And from there, then we took all that information and compiled a permit application that we went ahead and submitted to state and federal agencies.
I guess the goal when you come into a project like this is you're trying to protect the natural environment.
That is correct, right. When we find a wetland out here, we would delineate it so that we can put a line on a map so that in the planning process, we can protect that wetland or decide what we need to do with that wetland.
Are you gonna let me come along as you show me sort of what you would look for as you go through an area?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, and you viewers get to come along too. Let's go.
Great.
Well, that was an adventure going through those plants to get here on the east side of the Barnstorm Theater. What was that brush we came through?
That was blackberry bush, also known as rubus, and a lot of people would call it briars. It's a very sharp plant. Tends to grow on the edges of, shrubby wetlands like this. And you'll sometimes see it out in pastures as well.
It's sort of a natural protector of the wetlands because it kept grabbing me.
That's true, that's true. It would keep the average person out of the wetland, that's true.
Okay, now please don't hammer me for this, but we're standing in wetlands, yet it is dry. Please explain.
It is. Florida has a dry season, and we are in the midst of the dry season for Florida, so we're not seeing a lot of water here on the surface of our wetland, but as you noticed, we did walk downhill. And we're in a little bit of a lower spot, and so there is actually some moisture in the soils that keeps our plants, that are wetland plants, growing in here.
I want you to prove to me that there is actually moisture here.
Okay, great. Let's dig a little hole.
Notice Jennifer's doing the work here, and I'm just observing. She's a trained professional.
I am. Normally we would dig a pit that's a good foot deep and take a look at what we call a soil profile. Just for our purposes today though, we can take a look at the soil here. And if you just want to feel that, it's nice and moist. What happens in a wetland is we get water that flows into this area, and it stays here long enough that we get a soil that changes in character, and we call it a hydric soil. And then that hydric soil supports then the plants that we see in our wetland. So they're just taking a break for the dry season, and they'll come back all nice and green in the spring. Typically what we'll do is put what we call an upland buffer. So we put a piece of upland aside to help protect the wetland. In addition, in part of the planning process, we work with civil engineers, and so they'll design stormwater ponds nearby or with what we call a pop-off or an overflow structure into a wetland to help maintain the hydrology of the wetland.
Wow, so it's sort of like man working with nature to make
Right.
sure that this stays a wetland area.
Exactly.
Okay, well, pretty cool. I learned a lot, and I didn't even have to shovel to do it.
No, right.
Jennifer, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
And thank you for all you've done here in the villages and here at the Brownwood site.
Thank you.
Up next, our construction team works hard to prepare our Brownwood construction site and its streets for opening day. We'll be right back.
Wetlands make up over 830 acres of area south of 466A, including 25 acres in and around Brownwood.
Gary Corsair here, rolling into Brownwood, Paddock Square, on a traffic roller, because today we're going to be talking a little bit about, well, the stuff that we're riding on, the asphalt, as well as the curbing and some of the features here at Brownwood. And to help me tell that story, I'm joined by Director of Development, Tommy McDonough, who's been involved in Villages projects, construction-wise, for more years probably than you want to remember. But Tommy, I know it all starts with a drawing, but if you could just give us sort of, what's the process?
We've been here for about, I don't know, almost 6 months now. But, and we've got about 51 miles of pipe that's in the ground that's going to support, you know, the storm, the sanitary, the water, the fire and irrigation, utility conduits for power and communications. And
well, and the way these words just roll off your tongue, you've been doing this a while, and you've learned from other projects. When did you get started with the villages? I know we're going back to back when I had dark hair. But
yeah, I think we both did. We've earned our gray, but I've been here, started in November of 1987. I've been, I'm in my 25th year right now, so wow. It's been, all downtown's been through Spanish Springs and Lake Sumter Landing, and it's always different, unique in each one of them. So
I have to ask, what is asphalt? What's it made of?
It's a mixture of sand and granite rock, a liquid asphalt that's the binder for it. They're able to add some local sands to it, as well as some recycled asphalt in the mixes to create a fairly soft and flexible surface.
And you guys have, I'm sure, just several guys who are responsible for mixing it, pouring it. You put it down hot, I guess. How many guys does it take to lay a piece of asphalt road?
There are probably 50 guys here during every day, pretty much doing differing things. And then we have utility companies in here too, so there could be up to 100. So
what comes first, the curbing or the asphalt?
Well, the curbing.
Okay.
In most cases, we do. This is an 18-inch curb. We squared off the back and the faces to make it look a little bit older. Lake Sumter Landing has some of the same. Those curbs go in first.
When I see that curbing board, I think of those old Play-Doh machines where you put it in, you squeeze it out, and it came out a certain mold. It's kind of like that, isn't it?
About the same thing.
Okay.
A little more.
Giant Play-Doh machines out here.
And it's real tricky. The guys are excellent at it to make sure that the mud comes out in the right consistency so it stands up.
Tommy, how do you feel when it's all said and done? You know, this is your third town square. What's it feel like when you walk through a square and everything's just like it was in the drawing?
Well, it's I don't know that I noticed that as much as I noticed how the people enjoy it. It's very unique. I have friends and neighbors, family that come down all the time, and you try to describe it to people and they just can't understand it. But when they see it, the smiles and the looks, they're always studying things that you can go through it. I still go through Lake Sumter Landing and find things that I didn't know were there that I didn't have things to do with. So it's interesting and fun.
Well, it's going to be great. Tommy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Gary.
We'll let you get back to pouring that stuff that we walk on.
There's enough asphalt and curbing in Brownwood to construct over 10 miles of roadway.
When we return, Ted Graham gives us a first look as we walk Paddock Square, and he reveals what you can expect to find when the square opens for business in the fall. So stay tuned.
In the early and mid-1800s, many of the Florida cattle were purchased by the government of Cuba for gold and shipped to the island nation from boats departing the port of Punta Resa on Florida's southwest coast.
Today we're bringing you a sneak peek from the heart of Brownwood, the fabulous Paddock Square. And here to tell us all about it is the project manager of Taylor & Sons, Ted Graham. And Ted, how are you?
How you doing, Gary?
Good to see you, and we've seen you before on projects around the villages. This isn't your first time at the dance, is it?
No, sir, it is not. I've been very fortunate. I've been working here at the villages for 12 years now.
Wow.
Well, the first project that I did when I came to the villages was basically to build Lake Sumter. So I got involved with that project back when 466 was a 2-lane road and everything, and the villages were just rolling into Sumter County, and evolved from that project. Really what we did through that project and through that process was understand our customer and our owner, which is the villages, and understand their true dedication to theming and what it means to the residents, and how serious they are about that, which is not really common in the construction industry. So that evolved us to the project we have today, which was a good understanding of what they wanted and how they wanted basically this story to be told.
Now, when you say you pretty much built Lake Sumter Landing, you're pretty much building Brownwood and Paddock Square here. Tell us the particulars. What kind of things are you actually doing?
Well, we're constructing Paddock Square, which is the downtown square where all the entertainment will be held for Brownwood. The field would be something would be almost that would be built back in the 1800s, early mid 1800s. A lot of the native woods that were found in this part of the world, which is cypress. A lot of it is heart pine, which is the old growth timber that's not here anymore. It got logged out of this part of the world and shipped up north to build basically the big cities up north in the northeast back during probably the 1800s, and probably the 1920s was the last we'd seen of what they call the old growth native longleaf timber.
I call it the good stuff.
The good stuff, yes sir.
What's happening here on Paddock Square now? What stage are we at?
What you're seeing here is all the underground utilities, all the sleeving, all the piping, where all the AV cables, audio-visual cables, all the electricity all will be underground. And it will all be plumbed up so that when you put the final surface on it, you won't see anything above ground, but basically the spinal cord of the network where all the information will be underground.
I want to show our viewers what exactly we're talking about, so why don't we take a walk and you can show me what's actually going to happen here on Paddock Square.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay, where we're at here would be the entrance to Paddock Square, which there's several entrances, and would relate it to Lake Sumter Landing. We'll be entering the square right now where the clock is currently at Lake Sumter Landing, and we're facing the back of the grandstands, which on the back of the grandstands will be the special events kiosks for the beverages and whatnot. So when we walk into the Paddock Square now, the two buildings will be facing a 45-degree angle. We're at the back side of them, and then you'll have your bar kiosk or your special events kiosk where people will come up and get their beverages. It has fixed seating, so it is a little different in that respect, and also it's elevated seating, so you'll have a better vantage point of the entertainment.
All right, now we've come away from the grandstand, and we are actually now use your mind's eye, folks. This is where the cabin's gonna be, huh? Where the performers are gonna be playing.
Yeah, technically, in space, we're standing on the front porch of the log cabin, which is a 20 by 30 structure with about a 7-foot porch. These are the chimneys here. They'll be themed chimneys. They will not be operational, and they also will be built out of the Florida fieldstone, so they will match the fieldstone that was native to this area. And
I can almost hear the cheers.
Yeah, yes sir. The grandstands will be behind us. The music will be facing the grandstands, or the band will be, or the entertainment, whatever that may be.
Now what's the timeline for construction, Ted? Because I'm telling you, it looks like there's a lot of work got to be done before we're going to be standing on that porch.
It is a lot of work. We hope to be The concrete will be poured for the grandstands over the next 2-week period, and it'll have to cure for a little while, and then the foundations for the cabin will be going in about 3 weeks from today, and then there'll be a continuous process of everything going vertical pretty much until the end of July. And then so we hope to get her punched out July, August, and get ready for the grand opening in the fall.
That's incredible, and that's July, August 2012. This is the Villages. Somewhere else we'd be talking about 2013 or 14, but man, it's going to be coming up. We're really looking forward to it. Ted, thanks for showing us, giving us a bird's eye view, and Villagers, it's all for you. So keep watching as we go vertical, as Ted says.
The longleaf heart pine used to build the structures on Paddock Square is a very slow-growing tree that takes up to 300 years to mature.
So from the environmental to the curbing to the paving, as well as the construction activity you see taking place behind me here on Paddock Square, the Brownwood construction site continues to be a very busy place. And you can see it for yourself on the Building of Brownwood every month exclusively right here on your V-Mail.